barriers or issues have you most often seen when you're trying to build effective alliances with Main Street, mostly non-Indigenous, mostly white, climate action groups?
Well, first of all, we got to understand that almost all the laws are written for, in this case, the colonial powers. Maybe it's insulting to people to consider the United States as a colonial power, but they are. So the laws weren't written for Native Americans, and even it's called Title 25 of the United States Code, Indians. And inside there you'll find all the laws that deal with Indians compiled together. And most of those laws that are in there are about taking from Indian country, and then what they kept managing it, controlling it as if they didn't own it. And so Indian countries has really suffered in regards to laws that apply to them, but then there's these environmental laws that weren't intended to be applicable to tribal governments. And so they're saying, well, you can come out as a citizen, like any other citizen, and have your say, but you can't come here as a tribe. You can't come here just because you have a treaty with the United States. You can't come here just because that treaty is supposed to be supreme law of the land under Article 6, Clause 2 of the U.S. Constitution. You're just a citizen to us. So tribal governments have worked really hard to become self-determining and self-governing, and we have demanded consultation. That's why the presidents have issued Executive Order 13175, directing all federal departments and agencies to consult with the tribes. And so for things like Army Corps of Engineers, it was just exposed in the Dakota Access Pipeline protest that they never gave permission for that pipeline to go across. So they're acting without authorized legal authority. And so if the tribes didn't stand up and they didn't protest, nobody would know that the corporation is just doing it because they want to do it. They're not going to wait for any federal permission. They're going to just blaze right through. And when they come in, they bulldoze everything out of the way. And if they're going through archaeological sites, they just bulldoze everything out of the way, destroy the sites, destroy the burial grounds. And for tribal governments, that's a real problem. And we would like to see those sites protected, but we'd also like to see the integrity of the environment protected as well. So first of all, I'd like to end a little bit on that other question in regards to whether some value difference or things to address. Sure. In regards to us versus you versus others, is that when you have different values taught, and then that kind of puts you at odds at the table when you're negotiating. Mm-hmm. And so even though you may agree to work together, if you have some core values that are different, then you're going to end up in conflict anyway. And so, a lot of people were shocked when they found that after we did applied a Harvard study to the Lummi people, that Lummi people are real doing oriented. They really like to work. They like to believe that we're lazy. Those Indians never want to work, but that's not who we are. And they always like to believe that, they're going to go to the chief. They won't do anything without the chief. Well, our orientation is we-ness, collateral. We'll all work it out together, and it's going to take all of us to accomplish the job. And so if you have that different type of core values like that, then you're going to be at odds. And for us, when we look at the difference in values, and we look at the difference in the laws and versus our traditional laws, then you go into a court to try to address the conflict between you as an organization representing non-native values and views of the world around you versus our views and our values. And we're into battling your laws, usually with a white lawyer in front of a white judge dealing with white laws about the other outside of the reservation. So that makes it real difficult for tribal people. That usually puts us in a position of real stress, trying to figure out how we're going to prevail and how we're going to be able to get a legit court to give us legitimacy. If you look at us in regards to that, we have rights too, even though there's a conflict in paradigms. So I think when we're working with environmental groups, we can't expect you and you can't expect us to change overnight, but we have to work together for the common cause. Are you standing up for water? Are you standing up for the land? Are you standing up for the air? Are you against global warming? Are you trying to prevent the clear cut of all the mountain forests? Are you trying to save the rivers? And so those are the type of things that we can all work for, and so we can form in common issues. that we can all agree to, without thinking, well, okay, I supported you. I can only support you this far, but now we don't want you in our life because we want to interpret what is needed based on our value. So we can see where eventually we may alienate from each other because we don't believe that we could only go so far. Well, as long as you're forthright and honest and bring it out at the table, we understand that there's a time to separate and a time to come together. Then that's fair, and that's good. But what was the other question?
Okay. Particularly news sources that that give us accurate, truthful
Well,
information.
that's just it. Is that I think we live in a very phenomenal time period. Let's jump back to Brown versus Board of Education. Okay, and America was kind of shocked. The TV was exposing this conflict between black students, white students, black society, white society, and shocking, but it took the Supreme Court decision to expose that. I mean, it was happening for decades, for 100 years, and we just kind of ignored it, went along with it, right? And so when you don't really begin to see the facts, you have to address it because now you're aware. Awareness creates a responsibility. You can no longer deny it to yourself. Until then, you can deny it to yourself. Well, I've never heard of it. It's possible deniability, right? I don't have to be involved. It's not my issue. I never heard about it. I don't know what you're talking about. But today, and in the past, corporations and politicians really had a lot of influence over the media. On radio, and television, and newspaper. So if an officer beat somebody up in the past, well, that was shoved way over. If it ever made it into any part of the newspaper, right? Well, it wasn't a racist thing. It was just officer doing his job. But now people have the smartphones, and everything's about filming. Everything's text message. Everything's Facebook. Everything's emailing. You can be in the jungles of Peru or Brazil, and word is getting out. You can be an Aborigine in the middle of Australia, or a Maori in New Zealand, and word's getting out. In our experience working with the tribal peoples and the environmental peoples and church leadership, that we all recognize that the modern social media system really is a source of getting the news out. The campaign itself, when bringing the poll around, it creates an opportunity for the media, the popular media, to get sound bites and visual bits for the public. Public, they know the public likes to see that stuff in their paper too. But we're also dependent upon people going out and contacting people they know, making it personal.